All right, traders, this is Blake Morrow. You are listening to the Morning Edge webinar. I want to welcome you all. Happy Tuesday to you. Let me go ahead and grab my bias chart here, and we're going to get started with our morning analysis. And I don't know about you, but I'm ready to get started because it's been a I'm a little upset that I had some dollar trades on last night, and I took most of them off them. I took them most of them off last night. The Kiwi, the Aussie, most notably about 30 pips ago. I just took them off the table. When I got up this morning, I'm like, dang, they already sold off. But one of the things that you have to realize that we're in, it's turnaround Tuesday right now. We've got some downside pressure in equities after our rally yesterday. So we had a big sell-off on Friday, down almost 400 points. Dow rallied back like 245 points. And then today you can see Dow futures is down 111 right now, and S&P futures are down 14. So we're seeing that risk aversion come back into the market a little bit. And like I was saying about Brainerd, I really don't think she is the voice of the FOMC, and I think people are looking at her comments saying, okay, well, she's always been dovish, she's still dovish, but is she really going to be the influencing factor of the FOMC? And so you're starting to see, equities come off a bit, and I had the S&P futures. You can see them here. You can see after the recovery yesterday, we hit almost a 618, and then we've rolled over again today, and we're nearing the overnight lows, which are about 2 points away. So keep an eye on the equity markets here. They might get a little squirrely if we start breaking lower, and don't dismiss the decline that we saw in the markets on Friday. I mean, some big sweeping moves on Friday. This is Friday, this is yesterday, and this is today. It's a little jolt to the system right now. Even though we held this 38% retracement, I still think that the market's on edge around here. All right, let's go over to the euro. The euro's in a really tight range. I think what we can do at this point, I know we have this like head and shoulder pattern. I had a head and shoulder pattern in the pound too, and if you are a Forex Analytics subscriber, by the way, if you guys don't use Forex Analytics, you should try it anyway. As you can see, I had a pattern in play going, which is the pound dollar head and shoulder pattern. And it was the head and shoulder pattern that we had working. All right, the pound basically is just chopping around. So I pulled that pattern in play off the table, because it's so choppy. Same with the euro dollar. I mean, I look at this head and shoulder pattern right now, and it's like, we may complete to the downside. It may take some time to do, but I'm really not going to look at the euro like this. I think we're just chopping around quite a bit in these pairs for right now. It's not very clean, so I'm going to get rid of that for now. But what I'd like to do is I'd like to zoom out a little bit and do this, and I think this will give us a better view of the euro dollar. Let's remove that. Okay, and let me remove this one too. I'm going to redraw that like this. Okay. See, I think the euro dollar is more or less in a fairly tight range, and we might actually just do this. Okay. So what that really means is 113 is going to be resistance, up here. 112 down here is going to be support, and we're just chopping around. Now I'm like you guys. I'm looking for direction. Looking for some direction in the currency market, and the euro is not giving it to us. Not yet at this point. But if we can break through 112, we can break through this support. If we can break through, resistance at, like, let's say 113, then I think we're going to get some good direction in the euro. But for right now, whoops. I don't know what happened there. Let me grab. What? Huh. I don't know what's up with my bias chart. It's not letting me, it says add memory, but I got a lot of memory on my computer. Let me do something really quick. Give me a second. I don't know why I can't use my bias chart. It's weird. Okay, well, all right, I can do it now. All right, we're in a range. All right, here, let me do. I just did something over here. Let me do another thing. Uh, Give me a second, guys. Give me a second. I'm still here. Just give me a second. All right. That may help a bit. Okay, so here's the euro again. 112, 113. That's resistance. Let's go over to the cable. All right. So here's the pound dollar. All right, so here's the pound, and so you can see the head and shoulder pattern that I had. Now it's not invalidated, just FYI. Okay, let's remove that. It's not invalidated because it invalidates when you break the right shoulder. Um, uh, um, yeah, Bill, I think I do need a reboot. I'm not going to obviously reboot right now, but that's something I definitely need to do. So here's the what we had is head and shoulder pattern, but still, I still think support's here. It's really quite messy. We still could obviously fall. Um, we're at a 50% retracement, but let's just mark down support as being 132.30, and then below that 132. So, which one am I on? Okay, let me get rid of that one. Okay, so 132. And that, which is the 618, and 132.30, which is the 50% retracement right here. Actually, 132.30. Yeah, it's 132.35 actually. 35. Okay. Resistance. The high here is 133.50 of the day, but really key resistance comes in 133.75. That's what Paul was talking about when Paul was, discussing with somebody who said they were, short the pound. I shouldn't be really worried about it until we break below, break above 133.75. That's exactly what he was talking about. Now we are still in a bearish trend. Okay, we are still in a bearish trend in the cable. So keep that in mind. Let's go over to the Swissy. I actually bought the Swissy yesterday. I bought the Swissy. I don't own it right now, but I bought it. And I made a little bit of money. This is before Brainerd, actually. I bought it before Brainerd. Got out of it. Made like nothing, like maybe a couple of pips. But anyway, the Swissy is still maintaining above that 96.50 that we wrote down 96.50 and 98.20. If you guys remember from yesterday, I'm pretty sure we did anyway. Um, some trend line support that comes through here. I, I don't really know what to do with the Swissy at the moment. You know, if the euro starts breaking through 112, I think that might be my clue to, or our clue, if you will, to get long the the um, dollar Swiss. But right now, that spike low is going to match up with this trend line support. So let's grab this right here. Here, I'm going to actually delete that. Let me grab another line. It's a little better. Look like that. So by the time we get down there, be 96.85. Will be support. Resistance right now. See, we got stopped up prior to the 618 retracement. So any move up to 98 cents is going to be, it's going to find resistance. That is the 618. It's a round number. 618 is 97.95. So I'm just going to write down 98 cents currently. And we are in a range. It's messy. Very messy. All right. Let's take a look at the US dollar Japanese yen. So the US dollar Japanese yen is higher this morning based on some, Bank of Japan issuing some bonds, and the dollar yen is firming up. But I'll tell you guys, this dollar yen, here, I think we can get rid of a lot of this stuff that we've had for a while. Let's get rid of this. Get rid of that. Get rid of that. That. Okay. Oop, shoot, I didn't want to get rid of that. That was the wrong thing to get rid of. I'll have to put that one back in. Okay, let me grab this. Copy, paste. Okay, this is our channel. So obviously we know we're in a big, downward sloping channel. We had that false breakout over here, which is obvious. Now, what that also means is any move up towards 103, it's going to be really key resistance. Now, I'm not saying that we can't break 103. We actually might be able to break 103, but 103 is going to be big because that's going to be really the upper end of this channel. And remember, this is the 618. So, any move up towards 103.10, and I know we've written down that number a lot, but I'm going to write it down again, 103.10. I think this is major. Now, if we can scale that, if we can scale above 103.10, that should, trigger a nice move higher. Okay. Support still in that little dotted line right here, down at 101.20, and basically we're in the middle of all this, nightmare. Okay. Okay, 101.20, and I really don't know what to do with the yen yet, but I am looking for signals for it to bottom. We are in a bearish trend, but I'm looking for signals for it to turn, neutral. Because if the dollar yen actually turns neutral and we come out of this, down channel that we've been in for so long, all of 2016 basically, okay, all of 2016. If we come out of this down channel and we start firming up towards 104, 105, that's going to put a lot of upside pressure on the dollar, naturally, okay? So we just have to keep an eye on the dollar yen. If I'm waiting for like I said, I'm looking for clues that we're really starting to form a bottom. And what will be really interesting is if we form a bottom in the dollar yen while stocks are falling. That'll be extremely bullish the dollar yen. I have no yen exposure. I'm just talking about it. Okay. Let's go over to the Canadian. So the Canadian, we're threading here on the Canadian. We have an hourly cup and handle pattern. Big cup and handle. Breakout point is actually 131 and a quarter, and then 131.50. So I'm going to write down both of those numbers because they're both huge. 131.25, 131.50, and then I'm going to put an asterisk by them because they're both really big. If the dollar yen breaks out of that, it's going to turn bullish. If we can break this, we're going to turn bullish in the dollar yen. It's going to really start squeezing. We haven't really seen much of a squeeze in the dollar Canadian. I mean, it's squeezed obviously from the last couple of weeks, but we really haven't seen, you know, the panic buying from people that are short. We really haven't seen that yet. And if we break above this yellow trend line or this yellow resistance, I believe you're going to start to see a squeeze of pretty epic proportions coming in the dollar Canadian. Now, crude oil is bouncing around right now, and crude's up a little bit. That may prohibit the dollar Canadian from going up too much, but it is something worth noting, especially if the dollar Canadian starts moving higher and crude oil is not moving lower. That's something else that should be closely watched. All right, support at this point would be that down low. And I want to talk a little bit about the Canadian here because when we were talking about it yesterday on the morning edge, we were sitting here at resistance, and I said, I mean, we were right here at 131.10, and I said, hey guys, the dollar Canadian looks like a good short. Risk reward looks like a great short. This is yesterday morning, 24 hours ago, and I didn't take the trade. Some of you did, okay, and it came down, right? Now Brainerd spoke, and the dollar Canadian continued to go down, all right, after Brainerd did her speech. Now, when the dollar Canadian was selling off after Brainerd, I'll tell you, even though I didn't short the dollar Canadian, what I was thinking was at that point in time is, man, one of the best setups to be short the dollar right now is short the dollar Canadian. If you saw the hourly or the daily close on the dollar Canadian, we had a gravestone doji. See that? Pretty bearish sign. Now think about where we were at yesterday, and thinking about how many people looked at that candle and said, yeah, slam dunk, short the dollar Canadian, slam dunk. By the way, the dollar peso is the same story. Slam dunk, just get short the dollar peso. These are the kind of sell signals in candles that don't get much better than this. They don't get much better than that. Now, if you shorted the dollar Canadian yesterday afternoon or an Asian trade, because you saw that candle and you said, this dollar Canadian's going back to 129. That's what I would be thinking, right? I mean, look at it. That thing's going lower quickly. Look at it right now. Now it's up. It's up aggressively. Think about how many people are short the dollar Canadian right now going, holy crap, what happens if this thing just rips higher? My God, I'm about ready to get stopped out. Very rarely in my experience of 20 some odd years of trading, do you see a reversal candle like that get negated? I would say probably less than 20% of the time. That means a lot of people were probably leaning on the dollar Canadian at the close yesterday, and they're fine up in their face. So what I'm trying to point out is positioning here. If we squeeze higher, it's going to be one of those scrambling to cover up dollar Canadian shorts. Do you guys understand where I'm going with this? Does it make sense? Are you getting it? Think about how many people at the end of the day yesterday shorted the dollar Canadian. In Asian trade, this is what the daily candle looked like. How many traders yesterday shorted the dollar Canadian at the end of the day yesterday saying this thing's going to hell in a handbasket? And right now, those traders are getting squeezed, like the shit squeezed out of them. Excuse my language. Shoot squeezed out of them. They're getting the shoot squeezed out of them, right? Okay, I want you to think about that, guys. It's the potential here is, and the risk is we're going to rip right through here. And like I said, 20% of the time that happens, maybe even less. I'm just giving you, like, I'm guessing numbers right now, but the risk is we just go ripping right through these highs and it just squeezes everybody. All right, let's figure out where support is. So support would be whatever those lows were today, overnight, or whatever those are. Eric said, I'm glad I didn't short it last night. Yeah, me too. I mean, it looked like a layup short. 130.30 is support. I was sitting there talking with Matt in our chat room about the dollar Canadian and the dollar peso, and I'm like, God, so tempting. I said, last night I was so tempted in shorting this peso because of that candle. I'm like, man, that's a hell of a reversal candle. And then we looked at the Canadian. I said, yeah, look at the Canadian too. I mean, they just, and that's actually these candles right here is what scared me out of staying short the Kiwi and the Aussie last night. So anyway, just a little heads up. All right, guys, I'll be back in a few minutes. When I come back, we'll finish up the rest of these. Tuesday, turn around Tuesday, turn around Tuesday, turn around Tuesday. I'll be back in a few minutes. Thanks. All right, traders, this is Blake Morrow. You are listening to the Morning Edge webinar. I want to welcome you all back. So we're going to finish up with the majors here. Let's go over to the Kiwi. So the Kiwi is approaching some really key support. So I think what we have to realize here with the Kiwi is this massive trendline support that comes through. This is really big. If you look at the near term, this one right here, this near term retracement, we're at the 618 basically, which you can see here that has just basically held. I mean, this is all really key support. Now, if you go all the way from the bottom, so if you go from the very low to the high here, you can see that matches up with the 38% retracement. Okay, real close to here. So this tells you how important this 73 cents, 72.80, which I'm going to actually write down 72.85, how important it is. Now, I have a little bit of short exposure in the Kiwi dollar, so 72.85. I have a little bit of short exposure in the Kiwi dollar, but I'll tell you, I'm going to get aggressive if it breaks through 72.85. I'm going to be adding because, at that point in time, then I know we have this channel, right? That once we break through that red line, that's going to expose, and what is this? I'm going to get rid of that. That's going to expose a move back down towards the middle of the channel, if not, the lower end of the channel. So again, I've already nibbled on the Kiwi short, but I want to get more aggressive should we break through those lows. Now, resistance at the moment will be right here. Will be the overnight highs, which will be 73.65 basically. Okay, 73.65. That is support or resistance. Okay, and we are in a range. But I think if we break through the 72.85, it's going to be bearish in the range, but bearish back down to the mid or lower end of the range towards 70 cents or 71 cents. So I'm really hoping for a breakdown here because I'd really like to add to it. I'd really like to add to my short exposure. Let's take a look at the Aussie. So the Aussie, look at how critical this support is. And this is another one of those, it's very similar to the dollar Canadian. This is what I saw at the close yesterday. I saw that. That's a hell of a hammer off of support. So my natural instinct is, all right, I'm not going to be short. I covered up my short trade in the Aussie yesterday afternoon. I said, I don't want to be short, big hammer. We might bounce back to, 76.50. From the 75.50, it's like, okay, I don't want to be stuck in that crap. So, I got out of my short. Now, how many people got long the Aussie in Asian trade, in Australian trade, in New Zealand trade last night? How many people got long the Aussie? And right now they're going, oh crap, why did I get long the Aussie? Right now, think about that. Again, these are these big moves where you think you're going to get some upside follow through, and now you're really, you break through the 74.85, and it's going to be ugly. That's major support, and if that gives way, we're probably going to flush down to the lower 74-cent level. This is where Paul said his target's at 74.15 or something like that. Well, that's trendline support. A lot of support down here, but if we break through that, it's going to get pretty ugly. I didn't expect that to happen. After yesterday's move, I totally expected to see some upside follow through. I'm sure a lot of people did too. All right, now we had written this down as resistance yesterday. I'm going to have to actually write down a little bit lower level, which will be right here at 75.70. We are in a range. Let's go to the dollar index. All right, here's the dollar index. Dollar index choppy as all get out, right? We know we have a lot of support down here. The 618 offered us resistance yesterday. That remains to be really good resistance, I believe. Right through here. Okay. Right through here. So that number comes in at 95.60. Support, will we be lucky enough to get down here to 94.80? I don't know, but the spike low is probably going to offer us some support right now, near term. That comes in at 94.90. We're just kind of stuck in this range, right? And we are in a range here too. Let's go over to the peso. Now this one, this is crazy. So here we got this peso. That is like the most bearish wick candle that I've seen in a long time. I mean, we rejected the 786. There's a false breakout above the highs. That was like, when I looked at that yesterday, that was a layup short. That was a layup short. Andres, are you asking about the pound really right now? Andres? Are you asking about the pound? I did the pound already. A half an hour ago. looking at the U.S. dollar Mexican peso yesterday, that was a layup short. That is what my attitude would have been against the peso. But look at it today. Look at how it's squeezing higher. This has really got to worry some near-term Mexican peso, U.S. dollar Mexican peso shorts. I'm not saying it's going to break out, but man, this move right here is a scary move for traders. All right. I mean, resistance is at, I mean, 1919 period, end of story. I mean, that's just resistance. Okay. Support is going to be at this 1880 because that is this trend line support right through here. Tag there, tag there, tag there. So that's going to be at 1880. I'm not sure what to do with the peso. I'm just saying that anybody who's short right now is probably going, oh man, this thing's all up in my face. Okay. Dollar seeing a little bit. Well, is the dollar seeing so much weakness? It just came in. Hold on. Euro just, the euro hit new highs. That's why. Okay. Euro hit new highs. The Canadian barely budged. The Kiwi barely bounced. We've had a tight range for the day, so don't get excited about the euro dollar hitting new highs. I mean, we've had a less than 40 pip trading range this far. Okay. Okay. This dollar Canadian isn't even backing off. Crazy. Craziness. Okay. Sorry. Going back over to that was the peso. This peso isn't even backing off either. I mean, if you're short the U.S. dollar Mexican peso and that's what it looks like, you're probably starting to, get into panic mode here. Let's go over to the Nordic currencies. So here's the U.S. dollar Norwegian krona. This thing's just kind of sitting around. This, I think we can get rid of this too. I mean, it's kind of like a U.S. or a inverted head and shoulder pattern. Just kind of, tried to make a move, but fell short and just very choppy. So here's your daily chart in the U.S. dollar Norwegian krona. It's kind of bearish at the moment, but I think that's going to have more to do with the euro than anything. I think what we need to write down is 812 and 840 and just kind of leave it alone. For some better clarity, or maybe some crude oil movement to give us some better direction there with the Norwegian krona. Let's go to the Swedish krona. We completed that head and shoulder pattern with the US dollar Swedish krona. So now we're stuck in this. Here, let's get rid of this. Let's get rid of that. Let's get rid of that. That's the one we've been following from last week. Basically a range extension here. So 840, was that 846 to 854, 846, 8.4600 to 8.5400, and there's not a whole lot to do there. Okay, your bias chart's done. It's finished right now. And watch this dollar Canadian, which is not selling off. Not selling off. It's strong, man. Really, really is strong. Despite what's happening in crude and the stock market, dollar Canadian looks like it wants to squeeze the hell out of people. Okay, I'm going to take some questions. First question comes in from